If this video is for your Greek class, I would grab your Croy textbook and take a look here because some of the things I'm going to point to you to are just in this chapter. And we are so close to the end of this textbook because we're not going to worry too much about chapters, the last couple of chapters. So 28, 29, and 30 are kind of the last big ones for us. In chapter 28, you're going to introduce to the concept that's also going to be chapter 29 and 30, which is me verbs. Here's the good news, is you're going to know how to translate these because the translation situation doesn't change. It's the recognizing the forms here that's a little bit different. And so here's what me verbs are. So far, all the verbs you've learned belong to what we call the omega conjugation. So luo, pisteu, o. Do you see how they all have that omega at the end? But now all of a sudden, in Greek, there are another class of verbs, and they have this ending me. And so we call them the me verbs. So didômi, and then the next two chapters cover tithemi and histemi. These are the most common ones. I'm not an etymologist, but my understanding is that this is an older class of verbs, and some of them were super common, and so they hung over even as verb formation changed. The me verbs only differ in certain places, and so especially in the present and in the second aorist. But then their translation doesn't differ, it's just recognizing them. Here's what the present active indicative looks like. I would learn this. I don't know if you have to memorize it. I don't think that's how I've ever done it so that I can write the chart, but at least I would read over this a bunch, because if you learn this, then it's going to help you for chapter 29 and chapter 30 too. So the I give is just didômi. You give, it's didos. He, she, it gives is didosin. That's the one that throws me off all the time because that is the third person singular. The didomen, that's easy for us. We give. Didote, y'all give. That's easy for us. Didoasin. That's just how it is. And so that stinks because that's not what I would expect based on the other forms that we already know so far. But this is it. This is the most important chart. If I was going to start a chart in my textbook, it would be this one. And I'd focus on learning this one. There are other moods for didômi, especially for the present tense. And so in your textbook, if you wanted to look at paragraph 201, which for me is on pages 170 to 171, that's going to show you more of how didômi looks for subjunctives and for imperatives and for all the other moods. But the basic idea is here that you build off of this stem now, didômi, instead of some other stem. The other part that's affected is the aorist, and so here's why it's weird for you is I used the system to try to help you recognize things, and all of a sudden this breaks the system rule, and you just basically have to treat these like second aorists. And so in their second aorist form, they have an epsilon at the front, they have a ka. So edoka, edokas, edoken, edokamen, edokate, edokan. That one, they don't look as weird. You just have to recognize that in the me verbs, you have a ka in the aorist. So the aorist is this edoka. The perfect would be dedoka, because it would have a full reduplication. And so, yeah, there's just not a lot to this other than trying to recognize it, because the great thing is when you go to translate it, they're conjugated differently, but they're translated in the same kind of way that you're used to. So didômi is just, I give bread. I'm giving bread to the children, or I give bread to the children. Tauta, soy, panta, doso. I will give to you all these things. Aute, edoken, that's in the aorist. So she gave bread to him. It's not translated any differently. It's recognizing the form. So let me back up to the form just a little bit here so you can see it. This is the chart I would put my focus on, is this, the didômi, in the present active indicative, and everything else is just information that you want to know or manipulate, and then the translation should be straightforward and what you already know. This chapter would be worthwhile, though, to put some energy into. Like learning the vocab from this chapter, paying attention to this, because if you learn this chapter, chapters 29 and 30 are a breeze, and that's pretty much us through our textbook, so that's pretty exciting. If you have any questions, I would suggest you first watch this video again, look at the textbook, and then you can email me or bring those questions to class, and we can talk about it further. Okay, I look forward to doing that. Thanks.